Good afternoon, all of you. And now we are going to start our next session. For this session, it will be, I request and call upon our speaker, retired Wing Commander Rohan Chandak, sir. And this session will be chaired by Dr. Shiv Prasad, sir. And I request both of you, sir, to kindly come on the dais. And I take this opportunity to in I before I request Dr. Prasad, Shiv Prasad sir, to welcome him. Let me take this opportunity to introduce our guest speaker. Wing Commander Rohan Chandak sir is an accomplished aeronautical engineer and AI leader, currently serving as Program Director at the Technocraft Center for Applied Artificial Intelligence at IIT Bombay. Commissioned into Indian Air Force in 2011, Sir has held key technical and leadership roles, including heading AI ML research initiatives for aviation platforms. Sir's pioneering work on predictive health monitoring of jet engines using AI ML was published in MILIT Journal in 2024. Sir has presented at many national and international forums. With advanced qualifications in aeronautical engineering and supply chain management and certifications in AI, ML, and data science, Sir brings a rare blend of defense technology and applied AI expertise to today's discussion. I'm going to introduce our chairperson and then I will follow the next programs. Our chairperson today, chairperson for this session is Dr. Shiprasad Murugan. We are delighted to introduce Shiprasad Sir here, Associate Professor at Chetana's RK Institute of Management and Research, with over 2 decades of academic and administrative experience, currently serving as NBA coordinator and controller of examination. He has played a vital role in accreditation and institutional development. A PhD from University of Mumbai, Sir is also a renowned trainer in leadership and communication. We are honored to have both of you, sir. Sir Prasad, sir, I request you to kindly welcome our guest speaker today, this session, with a floral tribute. I request our Vice Principal, Madam, Dr. Tanuja Kohli, Madam, to kindly welcome Dr. Shiv Prasad with a floral tribute. Thank you, ma'am. As India is rapidly integrating artificial intelligence into defense sector to enhance surveillance, autonomous weaponry and decision making, aiming to become a global leader in defense technology, key initiatives include deploying AI-based border surveillance, unmanned aerial vehicles (UAV), and predictive maintenance supported by specialized Defense AI Council. Sir, our Wing Commander retired Rohan Chandak sir will enlighten us with his topic on AI in operations, uh, AI in defense perspectives and governance. I hand over the session to you, sir, and request Prasad sir to kindly be there present and be the chairperson. Thank you, sir.
ये अंदर हो सकता है, इसको अंदर कर सकते हैं। चेक। ठीक है, नो प्रॉब्लम, नो प्रॉब्लम, नो प्रॉब्लम, रहने चूज कर सकते हैं, रहने दीजिए, रहने दीजिए। चेक 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 चेक। गुड आफ्टरनून, हाउस द जोश? Nice way to begin the afternoon, and I'm sure that I'm eating up on your time for the lunch, but just bear with me for 15-20 minutes. And I think, I hope that I'll be able to do some uh, justice and some sort of a spark in you with respect to how defense is treating AI, and how we are actually seeing the problem statements, seeing the governance point of view, seeing the biases, and be very cautious of the biases that actually can bring the war to your side or take it away from your side. So this is some sort of a prelude, I thought, that could ignite some interest to you of how we actually want to see AI from the defense's point of view. So this is a nuclear power reactor. Let me begin with it with a story. This is a nuclear power reactor, and just assume that there is suddenly some sirens which are going on, and they're telling you that a barrage of missiles, a barrage of, sorry, no, it is not moving forward. The barrage of missiles is coming to the nuclear power reactor, and there is an AI system which is triggered and which has detected these missiles, and even the radars have qualified this and told that yes, it is 100% sure that you're going to get hit. Now you are sitting over there as a commander, and you have to take decision of what should I do? Should I actually launch a counteroffensive? Should I wait some more time to qualify this particular detection? Because ultimately it's AI detection, but the AI is telling me 100% that these missiles are coming. And I, as a human in loop, should be wise enough at that time to take a sound decision. Because had this story, sort of what I'm telling you, not had been a fact, then we would have been facing one of the anniversaries of World War III, because this was not a story, this is an actual incident that happened in Russia, wherein a AI system which was trained on detecting missiles just thought that the satellite alignment, which left a trail behind them, was an incoming missile, and this satellite alignment it detected as the trail for the missiles, and then it triggered the alarms. And this was the computer that almost started a nuclear war. And there was a colonel from the Russian army which actually took that sane decision of not getting into something which is adversarial. So I want to ignite your minds with strategic leadership and ethical AI and the defense perspective and the security and the governance on it. So once again, formally good afternoon. And before I begin, I would like to just sound how the emergence of AI warfare actually started. So in 2017, China, they were the initiators of how to bring this AI technology into the warfare gaming. We had AI was getting into a lot of civil parlance use cases, but then there had to be somebody who thought that, okay, now we can actually translate it to more potent technology. So China State Council issued the next gen AI development, and they had a very broader goal that they want to achieve these things by 2030. Right. In 2018, the US Department of Defense said that we will have our own AI strategy. And they said that, okay, we will spend close to about 87% of the total US federal expenditure in AI. And they've done it for the past 5 years, and they're doing it more now. But India was not behind. Being the superpower, we said that, okay, in 2023, we had the first AI defense symposium, wherein we launched close to about 75 of the technologies where we were investing into defense parlance. And recently, we had the India Impact AI Summit. If you don't remember it for all the bad reasons, but there were a lot of good things that happened over there. And there were a lot of good technologies that happened over there. And if somebody who had the chance of visiting over there would have seen a lot of counters and booths from the defense per se as well. In fact, Navy had a very big booth displaying how Indian Navy is actually investing its resources into AI, and these are not just the physical resources of infra, these are the resources of manpower also. So, moving beyond that, when we saw some wars in the past years, then we saw that Israel was the first company to actually embed AI into its military operations. This was the Israel-Palestinian war, you can say, was called the first AI war, wherein they deployed AI very heavily into their attacking machines, I'll say, the things that are going on the war front. So, from object detection to probably scenario explanation to probably what if scenarios, and then getting to know that what could be the best possible, I will say, best possible combination of your weaponry to take it to the adversary. They also designed a system which was previously being done manually, and this manually, they used to actually denote some targets and label some targets, and this used to take a huge amount of manual effort. And the amount of manual effort that went in was basically they used to qualify close to about 100 targets in a year with all the conformity that yes, these are the adversarial targets. In a year, I'm saying 100 targets in a year. That was the effort that went by the humans. And AI did it in a day, like 50 targets to 100 targets in a day. This was a system designed by Israel. This was the algorithm differentiated the civilians and the adversaries, and some of them actually called it a mass assassination factory because there was no guarantee that a civilian who was not your adversary could also be attacked and then destroyed from there, and then everybody knows what destruction in war is. A classic example of this was probably the war between Armenia and Azerbaijan, wherein Azerbaijan actually deployed some drones and embedded AI onto the drones, and then they were the fire and forget drones. So basically, fire and forget is there is no human in the loop, and then the drone flies, sees the target, goes and destroys itself. And they actually faced a lot of self-destruction with these drones because the AI was being spoofed by Armenia. It's very easy to spoof AI in war scenarios. You just have to paint your, so for India, you just have to paint your vehicle green. That's it. And it qualifies that as a Pakistani vehicle. And probably if the biasing is not there, if it is trained well, then only it will just stop and probably not destroy the targets. But yes, AI can be spoofed very easily. So when in Air Force, when we started this journey of how to bring AI, this was somewhere in 2018-19, we said that, okay, we must have some discriminations and we must have some pointers that will take us to the AI journey. And the first pointer which was called out by the leadership was that we will deploy AI with ethics and responsibility. Because it's not just the deployment of a particular tool, it's not just the deployment of particular machinery or a solution into our defense systems, it's a national responsibility, right? So we started with that, then we started exploring the data, that where we can employ the AI. So as you also know that everybody says that we have a lot of data, but how good is that data, whether it is qualitative or quantitative or both, whether it is being generated from credible sources or handwritten. A lot of times human try to, I will say, just shadow off their mistakes and then they try to say, right to the wrongs also. So most of it comes when it is handwritten. So we had to do the data explorations. Some big challenge that we faced was interoperability because a lot of defense systems were legacy systems wherein we had to deploy this AI on. A lot of systems wherein they were being interpreted also, like the computers and all, were also, some of them are on Windows 7, some of them are on Windows 10, but the machine had no compute. So then we had to just find out a way that how we bring the interoperability also. And yes, the computing power, as I also mentioned. And actually, the major thing that was concerning us was how do we secure the data? So even if we deploy the models, even if we make the models, even if we have some solutions, the algorithms, but then we are dealing with huge amount of data. And any intrusion in this data brings a lot of risk to the nation. And last but not the least, we had no expertise. So we had to actually train ourselves, learn from the best, have a lot of open source, and probably I also took my learnings from IIT Bombay itself. That time I was in the serving for Indian Air Force. Never knew that I will finally end up into the same academia. But I also took my learnings from IIT Bombay. And then we had a pool of close to only 5 to 6 officers who started this journey with the Indian Air Force. And then we built the first solution. And so this story is interesting because in 2018, there was a particular squadron which was flying Sukhois. They reported that we are having some difficulties in the prediction of the health of the engines. So can you do something for us? So we said, okay, let us try this. And that's when the journey started. And we had a use case. So it was not that we were trying to generate a use case and then seeing that how we can employ AI. We had a use case readily in front of us. So we said that, okay, we'll take on this challenge. So 2018, we started that. 2000, okay, so the initial challenges that we had were how do we identify the engine performance? What are the parameters that we choose in? So any engine that takes on, it takes off within certain criteria, goes into the air, flies there for some time, comes back to the ground, right? But then when it is taking off, a lot of parameters which are affecting that engine while it is still in the air is not the same. When I'm cranking the engine, it is not the same. When I'm taking off, it's not the same. When I'm going in the air, it's not the same. So we had to actually divide it into regimes and then quantify the AI in each and every regime and then build models for each and every regime actually. So it was not just I'm building a model for the engine, I'm building a model for the regime of that engine. And then we had a lot of data, so we thought that, okay, now you see all these LLMs where you can do the fine tuning. And so basically fine tuning is nothing but transfer learning. That time it was called transfer learning. And that's what the initial stages when we had all those models on the Hugging Face, but we can't use them. So we built our own neural network, we built our own models, imparted all the knowledge of what we had within the engine into those models and then fine tuned it for or transfer learned it for the other engines. And We did it for each and every aircraft. So yeah, so going back to our story, from 2018 to 2022, we had the initial prompt statement. We initially tried with some concepts of AI, didn't succeed. In 2020, we did some POCs and actually detected predicted, I'll say, the failure of one of the engines, which engine was stopped. And when we clearly demarcated that this is the kind of anomaly that you're going to find in this engine, it proved right. Then it was a great success story for us. And that was a great encouragement for us to actually deploy it Pan Air Force, which was done in 2022, which is still serving. But then, how did we unpack the bias? So, any AI system tells you that the data goes into a model which gives you output. Probably with that output, you will again retrain the model for the benefit, or if the output is too much haywire, you will probably go back to the data and tell that yes, everything was junk. You need to actually do the feature engineering again. But then, what if my data was heavily biased towards a certain segment? That means I say that every engine data that I took was correlating to a good engine only because we did not have much failure samples. Then what happens is, whenever a failure comes, or whenever there is some sort of even here and there in one of the parameters, suddenly it says that no, it's a failure, it's a chance of the failure. Now, for you, this false positive might be a minor thing, but when you look at systems, what happens is, I will take down the aircraft, I will not fly the aircraft, I will take down the engine, which is a 2-day affair. And then after those 2 days, I find that this is a false positive that was flagged. And then again, I put it back to the aircraft, wasting my close to about 3 days. In peacetime, it is okay. In wartime, you are just wasting a resource because your AI is not trained well. So, whenever we're doing this kind of a appreciation into any of the defense systems, we not only have to take care of how it will be employed during the peacetime or how it will be worked during the peacetime, because peacetime everything works well. Peacetime, even if it is not giving you the correct output, is also accepted to certain extent. But wartime, absolutely not. Just imagine the recent Operation Sindoor. If my AI system would have said that you can't fly this aircraft, could we have done that damage to what we had done? So these are the criticalities when you actually put upfront on the paper that yes, this is. So whenever you're trying to develop a defense system, probably 90% of the accuracies which you claim is a very good accuracy is also not enough. This is what we deal. So there were some key takeaways when we did this exercise and build the solutions. And the first key takeaway was, in defense, AI should be mostly a decision support system. I cannot give the autonomy to AI telling that, okay, you are the boss now, go and fire, go and do whatever you want. To a certain extent, in some non-critical systems, probably in the space of cyber security and the other non-critical applications, I can. But whatever are my war machines, I just cannot. I can't over rely because it finally will lead to a catastrophe, either to ourselves or to the enemy. And we found that yes, since the NLP tasks were also being employed, a lot of them were giving us some good accuracies, and yes, this could be deployed to a certain extent. But then everything had to be explainable. If my NLPs or any of the LLMs or any of my models is telling me something, giving me some inference, giving me some output, predictions, whatever, it had to be explainable. I just can't take off taking the example again, I just can't take off my engine because my AI is telling me that there's some problem with your vibration sensor. Now, for me to do that vibration checks takes close to about 4 days. I just can't do it if it is not explainable. And for us, the biggest problem is there is no regulatory agency. Any defense system, any defense equipment that goes on to fight a war in that robust environment, it is qualified by some guidelines and some agency. For us, we don't have anything with respect to AI. And since it is not there, it becomes very vulnerable. Because all the checks and the balances that you take to actually mature this system, take it into the battleground, if it is not there, it is absolutely very vulnerable. Nevertheless, There's a lot of stride that Bharat as a country has taken towards the development of AI, and I'll just give you a glimpse of some of them. So this was nationally published. Some of them are quite matured right now. Some of them could be something really, I'll say, eye-opening for you. And the interesting part is most of the systems are developed by government PSUs. So if you think that government is behind in taking the initiatives towards how to actually bring in AI, then probably you'll have to rethink. Of course, some of them have also graduated to being good MSMEs now, from startups to actually contributing to the nation's growth. Yeah, these were some of the systems. But then, yes, everything comes with some sort of a monitoring, I'll say. And that's where the governance part comes in with respect to the AI and the systems which are deployed, particularly in defense. So in defense, you have a typical scenario of cybersecurity wherein it starts with the physical security, then the perimeter security, then probably the security endpoints, data security. And then if you see at the core of the circle, you have the mission critical assets. But if you ask me that how will you safeguard all your systems, I will say the first thing is common sense. Now, I, as an individual, I know my identity, I know my responsibility. I just cannot be sort of hacked by somebody else's thought just because they find me attractive on social media. I just cannot be revealing them some information that, okay, this is the kind of operations that we're taking on, this is the kind of AI that we're developing. Because in the end, everything boils down to national security. So it has a direct impact on the national security. It is not just limited to digital attacks. We've had many cases wherein it started with actually interacting with a physical person and then finally intruding into your digital systems. And a lot of it is, you will know that espionage is there, sabotage is there, phishing is getting prevalent in all the cases wherein even the civilian population is now exposed to a lot of phishing application, and it is ever emerging. So the major challenge for us is, even if we deploy any sort of AI, although AI is ever emerging, but then the cyber security angle is, cyber intrusion angle is also ever emerging. So we need to have a lot of governance on what we develop, how we develop, and for whom it is intended. And we've had a lot of cases wherein there were a lot of intrusions with respect to the AI systems. So you can see that NSA Cybersecurity Director for the US, Mr. Dave Luber, had quoted that AI brings unprecedented opportunity, but also present opportunities for malicious attacks. And this was published by Business Line, wherein we say that India emerges as the top 3 targets for national state-driven cyber attacks. And how AI could have actually helped us during Operation Sindoor, wherein a lot of cyber intrusion was happening from the other side. And that's actually the first part which takes place in any war scenario right now, is actually exploit you digitally, devoid you digitally, seclude you digitally, so that most of the things which are on your digital platform actually goes down. So most of your mission planning, so if I would have just intruded into Israel's digital system, which actually selected 100 targets a day, if I would have made it malfunction, or if I would have just secluded that from the entire system itself, they would have gone back to that pre-AI era wherein they couldn't have just zeroed down on the targets, and probably everything would have changed in the battle scenario. So yes, this is a very scary thing, and we need to be very aware of this. We had a lot of instances wherein wars were actually affected because there was intrusion into the AI system. And the Ukraine-Russian war, I'll just give you an example. AI was employed to sound the narrative on X, on all the social media. So the moment some country claimed its victory, there were AI bots which were claiming a counter victory for that particular instance. And the whole narrative now shifted. And how it is affecting the country is basically now the country from saying that, okay, I did this, is now trying to justify I did not did this. And this was whole done by AI. So just imagine the power of AI. It was also done in the US Cyber Command Ops. So this is a operational center for taking care of the cyber security for the US. Uh, there were a lot of predictive analysis for the improvement of the offensive and the defensive measures, which were to a certain extent being exploited also. We had seen a lot of cases within the Syrian civil war, and this was a AI hybrid war wherein the machines were sort of having some onboarded AI, but still were on a human in the loop application. But then yes, there were some difficulties. So everything comes down to, are we cyber resilient? So if you see this, behind you see, I'll just play this video also. Behind you see there's an aircraft which is caught, the engine has caught fire and it is still flying. There is no devastation that has happened. This is what we want to build from the defense point of view. This is what we want to have, that even if the system, even though deployed with any sort of AI, is cyber resilient, it can withstand, it can prevent, and in fact, to some extent, it should recover also. And the application should continue irrespective of whether your system is bombarded, whether your system is intruded, or whether your system is hacked. So it should continue, and it should continue to deliver the intended output. And probably there should be a little to no downtime, even if it has to actually take over on a standby system. So with this, I just give this thought to you that yes, how governance is very important in terms of whenever you're building the AI applications. AI is ever emerging. AI is going into places wherein probably it is just now the figment of your imagination, and probably the next day there is a POC available. But yes, you need to take care of, are you building a safe AI? Is the AI biased or not? Is my AI going to be employed and doing the correct work, which it should do, and not causing harm to anybody? And particularly in situations of wars, it is not, it is absolutely, I will say, trustworthy. So this was quoted by Andre Ng. He's, if you are born in the era of AI and you don't know him, then probably you're not born, because he's called the father of AI. And AI is the new electricity, and cybersecurity is a circuit breaker that ensures it flows safely and responsibly throughout our digital world. With this, I end my thoughts, and I'm ready to take questions. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, the session is open for question answers. If you have any questions or doubts, you may please ask our guest speaker. Mic, mic, mic. Any questions,
Hello, hello.
students? Since we find that they are like it's after this amazing presentation, may I now request Dr. Shiv Prasad to kindly round up the session.
Thank you, ma'am. I believe there are no questions because the audience is in shock and awe. after the wonderful presentation made by retired Wing Commander. When we look at the history of warfare, gone from different dimensions, battles were fought on land, moved to the sea, then we had air. I was probably from the generation that saw the transition from the three-dimensional warfare to the Indian Air Force wanting to be called as an aerospace force. Today, the new arena of battle is cyberspace. Like was told by the eminent resource person, that the battles today do not start in the air like it used to be during Operation Desert Storm. They actually start with cyberspace. The first attacks come there. We used to talk about the concept of C3I during Kargil, command, control, communications, and intel. It matured to command, control, communications, computers, and intel, or the C4I. Today we talk about C4ISR, command, control, communications, computers, intel, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Now, it is not the side with the maximum firepower that wins. It is the side with the greatest situational awareness that wins. And that's where AI comes into the picture. To ensure that missions are effective, the costs, especially in terms of collateral damage, are always under control and the missions are not compromised. Issues like AI bias make the system vulnerable, and that's why the whole objective is to ensure that these biases do not in any way compromise the mission effectiveness as far as military operations are concerned. Thank you, sir, for having really given us an excellent insight into the application of AI in warfare and governance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now call our Vice Principal of Chetna College, Dr. Nitin Rinde, sir, to kindly come and present a memento to our guest speaker. Okay. Thank you, sir. And so we have finally, come to the end of this session.